Hey, I'm Olivia,
And hey, I'm Dad.
and you're listening to Soarin' Around WDW. Welcome back, flight crew. If you missed it, last week we talked all about the behind the scenes or special private tours that Walt Disney World in particular used to offer. This week, we are going to hop over to our Parks of the Present piece of this series and go through all of these types of tours that Disney World currently offers. I'm going to start off by saying that I was very shocked by the current lack of behind the scenes offerings. Dad, how many of these types of tours would you think that they have throughout these spaces in total?
Well, I thought about that. I thought maybe about 15. That was just a guess off the hip, but I have no idea.
Yeah, in my head, I thought there were probably about 20, and that would include like hotels, Disney Springs, all four parks. However, between all of these places right now, there are really only 10 behind the scenes tours.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't include things that are more like experiences, like for example, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or a painting class at Coronado, because those aren't really behind the scenes tours. They aren't like anything that you get to find out secrets or magic in any kind of way. Those are more just like enchanting extras. So we're going to talk through all of what they currently offer first. And then in a future episode, we'll get into tours that we wish that they would offer. And we didn't want this episode to get too lengthy. So when I initially sent out the script for this, it was like 15 pages long. And dad was like, okay, maybe this needs to be a two-parter. Otherwise, it might end up being an hour and a half or 2 hour episode. So good call, dad. As you can hear, my voice is like barely here, so just bear with me this episode. I'm getting over being sick. We skipped recording last week, technically, so it's been a little bit of hit and miss. So if I sound funky, it's because I'm trying to get over. I feel much better, but my voice is still not 100% from whatever this nasty cold is. But let's start in the sections so that resorts can go first. So there are two current, what I would consider behind the scenes tours at resorts. And the first is the Starlight Safari Tour at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So if you missed our discussion about this in the second half of our Kilimanjaro Safaris episode, then we can do a brief recap on this one. But it's offered over at the resort, even for non resort guests, and is similar to what they used to offer as a nighttime safari ride over in the parks at Animal Kingdom on Kilimanjaro Safaris itself. But the Starlight Safari over at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge offers a rare chance to really experience the savannah after dark. Currently, it is the only nighttime safari offering, and this guided adventure takes place at Kidani Village, where guests climb aboard an open-sided safari vehicle and head out into the resort's expansive African-inspired landscapes.
What makes this experience especially memorable is the use of night vision devices, which allow you to observe animals in a way you simply can't during the day. As you move quietly across the savannah, you may spot a wide range of wildlife, everything from zebras and giraffes to wildebeest, ostriches, and various species of antelope. In total, there are more than 30 species living in these habitats, and seeing them at night adds a completely different perspective on their behavior and movement. The tour lasts approximately an hour and is designed for guests ages 8 and up, with younger participants required to be accompanied by an adult. It's a fairly intimate and educational experience with knowledgeable guides sharing insights about the animals and conservation efforts along the way, making it just as engaging as it is scenic. Pricing typically ranges from about $89 to $99 per person, depending on the date. And because spots are limited, advanced reservations are strongly recommended through My Disney Experience app or website. Guests should plan to arrive at least 50 minutes early and check in with a valid ID, as late arrivals unfortunately can't be accommodated. It's also worth noting that the ride can be a bit rugged, so participants should be in good health. Certain medical conditions or pregnancy may limit eligibility. The safari operates rain or shine, though severe weather can lead to cancellations. There's a 24-hour cancellation policy in place if your plans change.
Dad, both of us kind of said that the cost for this might not be super worth it. If you have Animal Kingdom already booked on your trip or have been before, the daytime regular safari ride at Animal Kingdom is like 20 minutes long and comes with park admission and honestly looks better than this in my opinion. So just a thought here. Maybe if you're staying at the Animal Kingdom Lodge already and you're not doing an Animal Kingdom day, which seems kind of backwards. Usually, if you're staying there, you're going to that park. But then maybe this could get you like your safari fix. But otherwise, I'm not really sure I would spend money on this one. What do you think, Dad, or anything you want to add there?
I would love to add something. If I want to spend $100 just to wear night vision goggles and maybe see an animal or not, I think I'll pass. And it kind of cracks me up because a lot of times I think with night vision goggles, if that's what they're talking about here, everything that you see that it's like a heat signature of the animal, right? The heat signature is how you see them. And I thought, and maybe I'm way off here, but I thought everything's kind of like red. So I don't know if you'd see like a red elephant and you'd see would you,
Yeah.
I don't, I could be way off. And maybe that's not the way they work. I just remember seeing different movies and stuff where they'd have the night vision goggles and everything would kind of have like a heat signature and you would, you would see everything kind of like in a red tint. But yeah, I would definitely pass on this. I would rather spend my $100 somewhere else, a good meal or something, or another way to spend it. I just don't. And again, I could be way off. This could be really cool, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. My interpretation of it was like looking at a baby monitor when it's dark and it's like their eyeballs are like creepy. Like you can only see like the glow of their eyeballs and like the outlines of things. And yeah, so yeah, it's just not really something. If you're staying at that resort, I feel like you can see a lot during the day. And then if you're not staying at the resort, getting over to that resort is not easy. It's kind of out of the way of everything else. And so I don't know. It's just, yeah, I agree. Not something that I think I would spend money on. So I'm interested to hear people who have done it, what your thoughts are. Do you feel like it was worth it? Was it a really cool experience? Kind of what your opinions are here. The next tour is the Wilderness Back Trail Adventure, and this is offered over at, of course, Fort Wilderness. So this is considered a hidden gem. I truly had not ever heard of this before. Dad, had you heard of this tour before?
Yes, I've heard of this before, and I'll save my comments for later.
Okay. Okay. So this tour is one that lets you experience nature in a completely different way on two wheels. Well, sort of. So not a bike, but the Wilderness Back Trail Adventure is a guided Segway tour that takes you deep into the scenic backroads and wooded trails of Fort Wilderness. And if you've never been on a Segway before, don't worry. From what we read, this experience is designed with beginners in mind. And the Segway is an all-terrain model. It's like the Segway X2, I guess. That is surprisingly intuitive, and most guests get the hang of it pretty quickly.
Before heading out on the trail, you'll start with about 30 minutes of training. That includes a safety video, guidance from your cast member instructor, and hands-on practice on a small outdoor course where you'll navigate cones and even tackle a gentle incline. You'll also be fitted with a helmet and electronic earpiece so you can hear your guide clearly through the tour. Once you're comfortable, the real adventure begins. Over the course of about an hour and a half, I guess it's longer than I thought it was, you're gliding across a mix of paved paths, rugged woodland trails, taking in the peaceful natural side of Disney that many guests never see. Along the way, your guide shares stories, trivia, and bits of Disney history that add a whole new layer to the experience. This route includes several memorable stops. One highlight is the shoreline of Bay Lake, where you'll hear what originally drew Walt Disney to this area and how the land has transformed over time. There are also glimpses into Disney's past, including remnants of an old railway that once connected nearby resort areas.
Ooh.
Nature plays a big role here too. The trail may take you alongside quiet creeks where wildlife like otters have been spotted, and through overflow camping areas that show just how expansive Fort Wilderness really is. One of the more surprising sights is a massive bat house, home to an estimated 1.5 million bats, which plays an important role in the natural mosquito control. And it's one of those unexpected details that makes the tour feel both educational and a little bit wild.
You'll also stop at the charming Tri-Circle D Ranch, where you can see ponies up close and learn about Disney's equestrian programs, including their pony adoption efforts. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind before you book. Guests have to be 16 for this one. You have to have a valid photo ID to prove that. They have to weigh between 100 and 250 pounds due to Segway safety requirements. And you should be in good general health and comfortable standing for the duration of the tour because on the Segway, you are standing, not sitting. Closed-toed shoes like sneakers are required, and certain footwear like sandals or rocker bottom shoes will not be allowed. Pricing typically runs between $90 and $99 per person, and reservations are recommended in advance. So you'll want to check in about 15 minutes early at the bike barn, is what they call it. And keep in mind there's a 24-hour cancellation policy. Because it's an outdoor experience, weather can obviously play a role here, and the tour does operate rain or shine, with part of it taking place under a covered pavilion if needed. But obviously, if it's like thunderstorming or there's severe conditions, then that could impact the route or result in partial cancellations. So, Dad, the listeners and I know you love Fort Wilderness and you have brought your RV, or let's just call it a bus, your old bus, over to the campground a handful of times over the years. And dare I say, it might be up there in your top resorts. Is that right? Would you say for Fort Wilderness?
Yes, I would have to put it right there. Probably my other non-campground resort would be Wilderness Lodge, which is right next door, which makes sense. That whole vibe, I love that. But since they put the new hotel, are putting the new hotel next to
Hmm.
Fort Wilderness, we've had that discussion. I think they're really messing up Fort Wilderness, but that's just my take, and I'm sure many people probably feel the same way. Um, so
Yeah.
about
So
the
what do you
tour,
think? Yeah. What do you think about this tour?
this I think it's, and I'll just be really frank, I think it's the dumbest thing I ever heard of. It, get on a horse. They have horse. They used to have, and I still think they do. You can get on a horse. You can do like trail riding around there on a horse. It's Fort Wilderness. It's not this sci-fi type thing, you know. I heard that. I remember when I first heard that a while back. I just cracked up. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. Run those around Epcot. I think Epcot has a tour, or they did, where you see guys running around on the sideways all over the place with their helmets on and with a guide. It makes a lot of sense at Epcot, but here in Fort Wilderness, it just seems. I'd rather walk, ride a bike, like a
Yeah.
mountain bike or something, or a horse. That just kind of makes more sense to what Fort Wilderness is. But I digress.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I guess I never thought about it that way because when I heard of this, I was like, oh, the actual tour sounds cool. Like hearing about the history, hearing about this train track, which I had never heard of. That was kind of cool. Hearing about seeing the otters or the different places. But it's such like an outdoorsy place. So you're right. Like doing a horse little guided tour would be really cool or biking because that just like makes sense. We've done a lot of bike tours like traveling around the US and we'll stop somewhere, do a bike rental shop and do a tour of the area with them. And it's really neat. And so I don't know. I just feel like that definitely would fit better too. And I think one of the really cool things about Fort Wilderness itself is that there's so much to do outside of going to the parks when you go there. You could take a
Yes.
vacation just to Fort Wilderness without stepping into any park and have lots to do for a few days or a long weekend. So the campground itself is kind of like its little own oasis or vacation spot, and one that I definitely want to check out more via the DVC cabins, not these new places, but like the old cabins that they redid now. That's definitely something that we would love to do in the coming years. So, of the two that we've talked about, would you probably still choose this over the Savannah if you had to choose, or what would you choose? This one or the Savannah nighttime goggles tour?
Well, I'm always joking around, so it's like, do I really have to pick any one of them? Can I
Yeah.
just kind of go away? I'd take the Sedgway tour only because it's at Fort Wilderness, and I love that area. And I've probably been on all these trails already on a bike over the years. But yeah, I would probably go with that one. But Fort Wilderness, hands down, compared to the night vision goggles where you might see something tour.
Yeah, yeah. Have you brought your own bike to Fort Wilderness or did you guys rent bikes when you went? I'm assuming you brought
We've
your
never,
own.
yeah, we've never rented. We always have bikes. We have a beach cruiser or whatever, and we would bring those with us, or our e-bikes or whatever. But yeah, we've brought them. And a lot of people rent golf carts, and we can talk. We can do a whole series on Fort Wilderness. Trust
Yeah.
me,
Oh, yeah.
we'll do that down the road.
Yes, for sure. We'd love to do an episode on like each hotel and its background and what it has to offer at some point. So yes, Fort Wilderness will definitely be up there.
Next, let's move over to Epcot and talk about their two tours that they currently offer. The first is the behind the scenes tour. Yay! If you're the kind of
Yay.
person who rides the living with the land and immediately thinks, okay, but how does all this actually work? Then I would think that the behind the scenes tour at Epcot is absolutely worth your time. This 1 hour walking tour takes you backstage inside the land pavilion, giving you a much closer look at the greenhouses and the fish farm you normally just glide past on the ride. And what makes this experience stand out is just how hands on and information packed it is. It's not just a walkthrough, it's a deep dive into how Disney grows food, tests new techniques, and supports sustainable agriculture right inside the park. During the tour, you'll explore 4 different greenhouses, each showcasing unique growing environments and crops. You might see everything from massive fruits and vegetables to more unusual plants like coffee beans or vanilla. Depending on the time of year, the exact lineup can change, since some of what's grown here is actually used for seasonal festivals at Epcot. That means there's a bit of a repeatability factor if you're someone who enjoys coming back and seeing what's new. One of the coolest parts is learning about hydroponics, basically growing plants without soil. It sounds futuristic, but it's very real here, and Disney uses it to maximize efficiency and sustainability. You'll also get a behind the scenes perspective of the attraction itself, sometimes watching the boats from Living with the Land pass by as you stand inside the greenhouse.
The tour doesn't stop with plants either. You'll visit the fish farm where species like tilapia, catfish, hybrid striped bass, and freshwater shrimp are raised. In many cases, guests even get to participate by feeding the fish, which adds a fun, interactive moment to the experience. There are also smaller hands on elements sprinkled throughout, like passing around spices to smell and identify, which keep things engaging and make the tour feel a little more immersive rather than lecture heavy. And of course, there are a few fun Disney touches along the way, like experimental crops. Yes, even the idea of Mickey shaped produce has been explored. Your guide plays a big role here too. Cast members leading the tour are typically very knowledgeable and do a great job of breaking down the complex ideas into something approachable and interesting. So, whether you're a gardening enthusiast or just casually curious, this tour definitely has something for everyone.
Well, there are a few logistics to keep in mind. This is a standing walking tour that lasts about an hour, so comfortable shoes are a must. Guests need to be at least 3 years old to participate, and anyone under 18 has to be accompanied by a paying adult. The theme park admission to Epcot is required but not included in the tour price. Speaking of the price, the tour usually runs between $39 and $49 per person, and it's offered multiple times throughout the day, often around 7 departures, though you want to check the schedule in advance. Reservations are highly recommended and can be made through My Disney Experience app or the website, though limited same day availability may exist. You'll also want to check in about 50 minutes early at the Land Pavilion near the attraction exit, and keep in mind there's a 24-hour cancellation policy in place. It is indoors, so it won't be canceled due to weather, so you're pretty safe in your booking. It does not always sell out, so if you are wondering if they have openings, you can swing by in the morning and check what they have for the day, but it definitely can sell out, especially during busier times.
I feel like this is one that I would really enjoy. And if I had a day by myself in Epcot or with you, Dad, I would do this tour. I know my kids would never do this. It is interesting that they let 3-year-olds go. That was like really surprising to me. I can only imagine Blake trying to walk through a tour like this, knowing there's all this super fun stuff right in the park around the corner. But maybe for annual pass holders or kids who go every other weekend like we used to. But what are your thoughts on this tour, Dad?
One I definitely would do. A lot has to do because the Land Pavilion was an original attraction, original building,
Yeah.
right from 1982, right? So there's something about that that draws me in. Same with the living with land, but living with land pavilion, and then the living seas.
Yeah.
Also, that whole area too. They had tours of that, and I think they have some tours of that also. That interests me only because they've been here for so long, and I have an interest in, some interest in plants, and I don't know how much gardening interest I have, but I do like landscaping and all that sort of thing. So to be around the seeds and how things happen at that facility, I would have a lot of interest. I think for the money, you really can't go wrong. I mean, it's not real expensive, and they're giving you an hour to walk around there and kind of see what they do. I definitely would like to do that.
Yeah, I feel like it's obviously the most reasonably priced tour that we've talked about so far. And it just is cool to even see like how do they do that? Because their version of gardening is very different than like traditional gardening that you would do at home or at in like a raised bed or anything. It's like all these really fancy watering systems and trellises and the way they make things grow. So that's pretty cool. And all that they grow there is used in the restaurants. So that's also really cool. So if you've eaten at Garden Grill, you're eating things that they have grown in the land, which is really cool. So I definitely think this is one that's on my list of things I would love to do sometime. Now, if you've ever walked through the Seas with Nemo and Friends pavilion at Epcot, also known as the Living Seas back in the day, thought, I wish I could just jump in there. Well, you actually can. Epcot Seas Adventure Dive Quest is one of the most unique experiences anywhere at Walt Disney World. It gives certified divers the chance to literally enter the massive 5.7 million gallon aquarium and swim alongside more than 2,000 sea creatures. And we're not talking about a small tank here. This is a huge open environment with crystal clear water, no currents, incredible visibility, making it ideal for a relaxed but unforgettable dive. Once you're actually in the water, you'll come face to face with all kinds of marine life, like sea turtles gliding by, schools of colorful reef fish, graceful stingrays, and yes, even sharks. It's a calm, controlled setting, but still feels like a true underwater adventure, especially given the sheer scale of the habitat. The full experience lasts about 2 hours, with roughly 40 minutes actually spent diving. What really makes this stand out is everything that happens before you even hit the water. Dive Quest includes a backstage tour of the aquarium, giving you that behind the scenes look at how Disney maintains such a massive and complex marine environment. It's a rare peek into the operational side of the pavilion that most guests really never get to see. And here's the fun twist: while you're down there diving, your friends and family can actually watch you. The pavilion features dozens of viewing windows, so guests with park admission can catch a glimpse of the divers from inside the exhibit areas. And one of the best viewing spots is the upstairs tunnel, where they can actually see you about 40 minutes into the experience.
Now, there are some important requirements to keep in mind. The experience is only open to guests who are open water scuba certified. You'll need to provide proof of certification. Participants must be at least 10 years old, and anyone under 16 has to be accompanied by a paying adult. Because it is a physical activity, guests should be in good health, and certain conditions like heart issues, high blood pressure, or pregnancy may prevent participation. The good news is that Disney provides all the necessary diving equipment, including wetsuits in a wide range of sizes. You'll just need to bring a swimsuit. And if you have a personal dive mask you prefer, you're allowed to bring that as well. Lockers, towels, and changing facilities are all included. There are also a few restrictions to be aware of. No cameras or phones are allowed backstage or in the water, and jewelry, aside from a watch, has to be removed before diving. Pricing typically falls between $229 and $249 per person, depending on the date.
Mhm.
Reservations are strongly recommended since spots are limited. You can book through My Disney Experience app or online. You'll need to check in about 15 minutes early at guest relations near Epcot's main entrance. Like many of these enchanting extras, there's also a 24-hour cancellation policy. Dive Quest is usually offered a few days a week, often with an afternoon time slots, but availability can vary, so it's worth checking ahead of this if it's on your must-do list.
So this is one that we've seen people do many times, right, Dad? Neither one of us are scuba certified, but I have to say, even if I was, I'm not sure there's a lot in these tanks that make this worth it. Like, maybe that's just me being pessimistic, but they've turned the seas into now a short-term rehab space instead of more longer-term rehab space like it used to be. So I believe there are not even dolphins currently. There aren't as many animals as there used to be. And so I think just maybe not really worth that time and expense. But what are your thoughts here? This is a pretty pricey tour.
Yeah, and you may or may not know this, but my friend Lyle and I, when we were in seventh grade, we both had paper routes. We saved our money and we bought scuba tanks.
Oh, you did?
We were 13 years old. And we went to a place it was up in Michigan. I won't reveal the place, but it was many years ago, so it doesn't really matter because I don't think they even do this anymore. They would fill our tanks with air, and we weren't even certified.
Oh my
And so we went
gosh.
out into the Lake Huron and different places, and we didn't scuba dive real deep, but we scuba dive, 30, 40 feet down. And yeah, that was back in the day. My friend
Wow,
still has it.
self-taught.
Yeah, we watched a lot of Jacques Cousteau shows on TV when we were kids, and we wanted to be Jacques Cousteau. So anyway, I digress. But yeah, I think my thoughts on that. I could say being an ex-skin diver back when I was, 13, and dove in the Great Lakes. I think it would be cool if you're a Disney fan and you maybe haven't had a lot of chance to dive in the ocean. You might have been a lake diver. There's a lot of places to dive, right?
Yeah.
A lot of shipwrecks up where we're from. There's a
Yeah.
shipwreck national park right in outside of Alpena where we were both, born and raised. So uh, I would think that would be fun to do. Of course, if you're in Florida, you could go a lot. You can go to the Keys and get some fabulous, coral diving and all the things happening there. The Gulf, the Atlantic. There's diving, of course, there. But if you're a Disney fan, they have all the equipment there. I think it would be fun. I think what might make it really interesting if there's somebody diving down there, they release a couple great white sharks. And let's just see what happens. It could be
In
kind
front
of
of all
entertaining
these
for the
windows,
in front of a.
all the
I'm
kids
only
watching.
kidding, everybody. But yeah, I think it would be. I don't think the price is out of line because they are supplying the tanks, the wetsuits, all the regulators, all the stuff you need. For someone that's like a once in a lifetime thing to try something like that at Disney, we've seen scuba divers in there before. We thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I guess I would probably give it a go if I was still into diving.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not like up to like what is normal for like cost for these things. I guess it is expensive because you do have to have, like you said, the regulator, the tank, the gear, all that kind of stuff. So
Very
that does
expensive,
add up.
yes.
Yeah, so it's an expensive hobby, but yeah, it is funny to me. It's like you said, the keys are there, all these different reefs and things are not that much farther away, but it is like if you love Disney, I think just the behind the scenes portion, like the part before you even get in the water, I wish that they would almost offer that as like a you can do that part and you don't have to dive because it is
Yes,
like
I agree. Yeah,
yeah, it's like limiting a lot of people's ability to be able to do it because most people are not divers. So it's kind of like, okay,
right.
how many people really can do this? But I mean, Florida is a place where there are probably more divers than other places in the US because there's so many places to go and do that. But yeah, yeah, that is super interesting for sure. So, well, yeah, we'll have to see what if people have done it. Let us know again on any of these tours. If you've done it and you think it's worth it, or you thought it wasn't worth it, or what your thoughts are. It'd be interesting to hear from people who have done this before. So, the last tour we are going to talk about today would be the VIP tour offerings across all four parks. And then next week, we'll talk about the Animal Kingdom tours and the Magic Kingdom tour options that are currently available. So, when you see those plaid skirts coming with a group of people, you're probably like us and you wonder, is this a celebrity or just a rich person? Because a Disney private VIP tour is one of the most premium ways to experience Walt Disney World, offering a fully customized and highly personalized day in the parks. With this service, guests are paired with a dedicated tour guide who handles nearly every aspect of the visit, from pre arrival planning to navigating attractions, managing timing, and even assisting with dining. The day typically begins with a pickup in a private vehicle from your resort or select hotels, and from there, the experience is tailored entirely to your group's preferences. You can choose your start time, you can visit multiple parks in one day, and adjust your itinerary as you go, which gives a level of flexibility that's hard to match with a standard park visit or even a standard tour.
The cost is significant, ranging from
Hmm.
about 450 to 950 per hour
per hour.
with a required minimum of 7 hours. So you whip out the calculator, you're spending some serious money to do this. Meaning most tours cost several $1,000s per day. And that does not include park admission, which must be purchased separately. Of course not. Why would
They
it,
gotta
why would it
get
include
you.
park admission? Each group can include up to 10 people, so families or larger groups sometimes split the cost to make it more manageable. I can see why. While the price is steep, the service is designed to maximize efficiency and reduce stress. Guests are typically able to experience a large number of attractions in a single day, often using lightning lane entrances to reduce wait times. Though it's important to note that this does not always mean skipping the lines entirely. It's not like they park you in front of everybody and in you go. Uh, at that price, they probably should, but they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the biggest advantages of the VIP tour is how much time it saves. Instead of spending hours planning routes, checking wait times, or figuring out transportation between the parks, your guide handles everything. Private transportation between parks is a major perk, allowing you to avoid buses and long walks and move quickly from one location to another. The flexibility is another strong benefit. If your group wants to change plans, take a break, or focus on different attractions, the guide can adjust in real time. That guide must be good because they take a group of 10 and they start saying, we don't want to go to Dumbo. We want to go to the Haunted Mansion. Whoa, we got to, I mean, we both know that's some serious change-a-roos happening, especially with a large group, right?
Oh yeah.
Many guests also highlight the quality of the guides themselves, who often become an integral part of the experience by engaging with families, helping kids feel comfortable, and adding thoughtful touches throughout the day.
However, there are clear downsides to consider. The cost alone puts this experience out of reach for most people, and even for those who can afford it, the value really depends on how much you prioritize convenience and time savings. Park tickets being separate adds to the overall expense. Additionally, because you are paying by the hour, any downtime, such as taking a long meal break or leaving the park temporarily, still counts towards your total cost, which can make the experience feel less efficient if not carefully planned. Another common misconception is that the tour eliminates all wait times, but in reality, most attractions are accessed through expedited lines like the Lightning Lane rather than immediate entry, like we talked about. So ultimately, whether a Disney private VIP tour is worth it really depends on your priorities. For those who want a seamless, high end experience and the ability to accomplish a lot in a short amount of time, it can be an unforgettable way to visit the parks. For others who enjoy planning their own trips or are working within a tight budget or a tighter budget, a traditional visit really can still provide fantastic experiences without this high price tag. The VIP tour is really less about simply riding more attractions and more about transforming the entire day into this smooth, personalized, and highly curated experience. So, Dad, have you ever seen a group with the plaid skirt guide before?
Many times.
Yes. And I
Many
feel like,
times we see that little group going around and the guides
yeah.
kind of marching ahead and they're saying, let's go, we're going this way, right? And as a group is following them. Yeah, and we've seen other types of tours too, like the Keys to the Kingdom people. We've seen those people. But
Hmm.
yeah, this is, yeah, they're normally, yeah, the plaid skirt or a plaid vest. Of course, if it's a guide, they're wearing a plaid vest. And
Yep.
they're extremely knowledgeable. It's kind of fun just kind of stand by them when they're talking to that group and just kind of hear what they say once in a while. I've done that just to kind of eavesdrop, like, okay, what are they telling them? And it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I know it's a highly coveted role in the parks to get to be
Yes.
this tour guide. And I
Mm.
feel like previously we really only saw like celebrities with these types of people back in the day. But now so many people are doing this as like a big birthday experience or something. And it's becoming way more common. It's like a big flex to be like, ooh, look, I did a VIP tour, which is wild to me. However, when I look at the cost versus the experience, things like the VIP tour versus like Premier Lightning Lane Multipass, they could be comparable depending on your party size. So the Premier Lightning Lane Multipass per person, which is not the same as Lightning Lane Multipass, this is its own thing. And that can go up to $449 per person per day plus tax. So if you're doing a 7 hour minimum VIP tour, let's just do some math at 450 per hour. And the max people is 10. You'd be spending about 315 per person versus 449 per person. Now, with Premier, you won't get on every ride. With VIP, you won't get on every ride, but you can get on all the rides you really want to. For Premier, it's one-time entry to each available Lightning Lane experience. So if the ride doesn't have Lightning Lane, you have to wait in the regular line. And that's in one park for one day. So if you have a hopper and you ride everything in Magic Kingdom with Lightning Lane in 4 hours with Premier, that's it. You've burned through it. You can't go on them all again. You can't hop to another park. So the VIP tour, you can hop to different parks, but it just costs your time. So again, you have to keep that in mind. You can hit all the big rides with basically no wait with the Premier. And then same thing with the VIP tour, you can hit what you want to. So you can go on Tron, Mine Train, Big Thunder, and Space, and then hop, and then you can go on these things. But again, you're limited to that. You need or 7 hours is the minimum. So you're limited to whatever time you're paying for. Either way, both of these options just seem absolutely insane to me. And you can do similar things on your own if you plan right. So if you are listening to this podcast, Regan and I do this every ride challenge, and we ride all rides in all four parks in one day. Now, we are like breaking our bodies to do this, but you can do a lot in one day if you plan things right, if you use Lightning Lane the right way, regular, plain old cheap Lightning Lane, cheaper, I should say, it's not cheap, cheaper Lightning Lane. Okay, so what are your opinions on this, Dad? Because I just feel like this is absolutely insane.
Well, my thoughts are, if you have that kind of money and you like to, if you need that help there, go for it. That's great. But one thing that you and me and Regan realize is that we got really good at navigating the parks. When you guys were young, I felt I was pretty much an expert at it with fast passes and moving through the parks
Yeah.
uh, and that's kind of where you guys kind of got the bug and kind of learned how to do some of that. And now you, with your challenges and everything, and the times that we've gone with you, if you do your homework and listen to different podcasts, including this one, there's a lot of things you can learn that you don't have to have a VIP guide. And we've taken a lot of people over the years. You have. We've taken good friends over the years, family, and really showed them a wonderful time. Many people used to go, "Oh, we only went to the Magic Kingdom and got on 4 or 5 attractions after spending
Yeah.
hundreds of dollars." And how many people have said that? In our case, we would hit pretty much everything we'd want to hit and still have plenty of time to do parades and fireworks and have a good dinner. So yeah, I think it's great for people that have the money to do that. But if not, you can do your own VIP tour personally, and if you do your homework, you can make it really worth it to go to Walt Disney World. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like as long as you know what you're doing, you can do what a VIP tour does on your own. And that's also if you don't know what you're doing, like Dad said, use your resources, but also use a travel agent and like ask them questions, find someone who's knowledgeable that is there for you that can help bounce ideas off or like give you advice because it is like very overwhelming. And we have some of our best friends went to Disney for the first time and or for the first time with their son, and they went on three attractions. They bought Lightning Lane. They were like, "Oh, well, you only got to pick three." They did those three attractions, and then they were like, "All right, I guess that's all we get. We don't want to wait in these long lines. We're gonna leave." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, no, you can pick more." And I had to like talk them through it, but they didn't know, and it's like very hard to navigate now, especially. I feel like back in the day it was a little bit easier to figure out. There wasn't so much like you don't have to be on your phone because that wasn't a thing back then. You just had the paper fast passes. There was definitely a lot of learning about the parks and the layout and how it works. But now with all this Lightning Lane stuff and with the way they do the app and the way they do your tickets, it's all just so different. And even as people who go all the time, it takes a lot of time and research and effort to make sure that we know what we're doing for trips. So yeah, I agree. It's definitely not something that I'm sure I would ever spend that kind of money on if I had it, but like you said, for people who have the money, that's great and good for them if that's how you want to spend your money. But all right, so that will wrap up this week's episode. So join us back next week where we continue our journey into looking at the current offerings for behind the scenes tours over at the parks. And I did want to say, these episodes are going to kind of come out in between our getting ready for France, and we're going to be hitting our 100th episode here very soon. So, yay for us. So, there might be some things kind of between this episode and this next part. But again, we record ahead, so our schedule does not always match exactly when we put things out. But just keep in mind that the part 2 of this will be coming here in the next couple of weeks, if not next week. But for our Would You Rather this week, our Would You Rather is, would you rather do a VIP tour or get the Premier Lightning Lane pass if it was given to you for free? So you didn't have to pay for it. Which one would you do?
I would go with the VIP tour. I'd love to see what that guide knows, pick their brain, learn from them. The other part, the other tour, the other pass. We've been on all the attractions, right, Olivia, so many times and stuff. I mean, we love it.
Yeah.
We love to go back on them. I'm not saying we don't, but if I could pick the brain of a VIP tour guide and have that experience one time, I think that'd be pretty cool. I would go with that one.
Yeah, I agree. I would also pick the VIP tour. I just feel like you said, the guide is like the key piece there, just like all the knowledge that they've had, all the experiences they've had at the parks, and they do tailor it to make it special. I remember at Disneyland when we were just there in February, there was a group of people there with this VIP tour, and especially over there, I'm always like, "Ooh, who are you?" because this is California and that's where most famous people live. But it was just regular family that I could tell, and they were there with this VIP tour guide, and she took them on the Lightning Lane of Indiana Jones. Then she left while they were riding the ride, went and got them like popcorn and cotton candy and stuff, brought it back to them at the end of the ride. So it is like they give this extra great service, obviously. And Disney cast members in general are incredible customer service people. That's what they're known for. But I'm sure the VIP tour guides are like next level up. So just something to consider and think about as well. But let us know your thoughts. Let us know what your opinion is on all of these tours. Again, if you've done one, tell us what your experience was. If you want to do one, tell us which one you'd want to do most. And once we get through all of the current offerings, as we did in our long, long time ago Parks of the Present series, we're going to rank from top to bottom which one we want to do most to which one we want to do least. That will be in that part 2 of this series episode. So head on over to the comments on Spotify, YouTube, or on our Instagram page at Soarin around WDW pod to let us know your thoughts and opinions. But out of all of the offerings from this week, Dad, which one would you pick as the one you'd want to do most?
Go with the big dollar VIP tour. The scuba thing sounds kind of cool. I'm not certified, so that wouldn't qualify. But if I was certified, that might be pretty cool. The other tours, not so much.
Yeah.
I'll go with the VIP tour. I know that's the big dollar one, but if I could pick anyone and had the money to do it, I would say probably that one.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be the opposite and pick behind the scenes, the cheapest, but one that I really do want to do. And
Okay.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, that
A
one too.
VIP tour is cool too,
Yep.
but I think the behind the scenes is up there on my list, which is funny. People are going to laugh at me for that one. But okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to give us a follow on Instagram at Soarin around WDW pod, where we share fun reels, throwback photos, and dive into weekly polls and debates. If you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow and hit that 5-star button. If you are over on YouTube, subscribe and leave us a comment as well. If you're listening on Apple, a 5-star rating and a written review would mean the world. You can also now support the show through our Patreon at patreon.com/SoarinAroundWDW podcast by becoming a free or paid member and finding exclusive content and bonus episodes and videos there too. Thanks again for joining us. Catch you on the next flight.